So this is Cherry Hill. Cherry Hill, North Carolina. Where this story takes place. It's in the Highlands of North Carolina, which I don't know if you know this, but Scotland is considered to be so near to the Highlands of North Carolina. And I have actually been there, and it is absolutely beautiful. They made parts of Outlander there as well. So let me put this up a little bit closer so everyone can see. Cherry Hill, in my mind, the Cherry Hill I created. This is Maggie Drake. She is the main character in this book. And she has came to Cherry Hill under the realization that she is adopted. She thought she always was a daughter of another couple, but she's not. She was the daughter of Aileen McLeod. And she has came to this town, I guess, to try to find herself. This is Maggie Drake. And this is Graham Sinclair. Graham Sinclair is from Cherry Hill. And he is the attorney in Cherry Hill. So now you kind of have a visual of the characters that I will be reading about tonight. Everyone, let me know how the music is before I begin. Thank you so much. Thank you. Just give me a thumbs up on the music. Music is good. Music is good. I hope it's good over there. And let's begin. But first, we have a way of how we go into story time here, don't we? Lower your lights. Lock your doors. Light a candle to chase those shadows away. Pull your curtains nice and tight. Wrap yourself in your warmest blanket to avoid the chills that are about to crawl up your spine. And let's begin. house was too quiet. Even Dune, curled like a russet coil at the feet of the bed, slept without twitch or purr. Maggie lay staring at the ceiling, her pulse echoing in her ears. She could still see the tree in her mind, the rough bark, the faded paint, the dozens of names nailed to the tree like gravestones. And Olivia's yard, that pile of rain-soaked teddy bears, ribbons limp in the mud. Her heart wouldn't slow down. The silence in Cherry Hill House wasn't comforting. It was a vacuum, a stillness that seemed to hold its breath. Every now and then the rafters creaked, a floorboard sighed, and the wind murmured along the eaves as though the house itself were whispering back the names she'd seen nailed to the tree. Nancy, David, Drew, Clara, Billy, John. She turned over, punched the pillow, closed her eyes, and tried to go to sleep. Sleep hovered though, taunting. And then, the instant her body started to relax, the images returned. Signs flashing, keep out, don't proceed further, enter at your own risk. Or she saw the little girl in the pink dress disappearing from her bike, the shadows stretching across the yard like smoke. Maggie jerked upright, her breath ragged. The room was dark except for the orange wash of the hunter's moon pouring through the window. Sweat slicked her temples. She reached for her phone on the nightstand. It was 2:04 a.m. She hesitated for a beat, thumb hovering above Inez's contact, and then pressed call. The line rang twice before a groggy, familiar voice answered. Maggie? It's 2 a.m, babe. Why are you calling me so late? Wait, what's wrong? Maggie's voice trembled, brittle as glass. I shouldn't have called. I'm sorry. I'll hang up on you. We'll talk in the morning. No. You got me up now. Inez, God, I shouldn't be calling you. Honey, you're fine. What's going on? I'm good. Maggie swallowed, staring at the shadows trembling on the far wall. I went with the sheriff today to a place called the Black Veil. It's part of the mountain, and Inez, there's this tree. There's this tree with dozens of children's names carved and painted all over it. You've never seen anything like it before in your life. Olivia's name was there. All of them. Decades of children, Inez. There was a rustle on the other end. The sound of Inez straightening up in bed. Wait. What? What do you mean children's names? Like a memorial or something? I don't know, Maggie whispered. I don't, I don't feel like it's a memorial. It, it felt like a warning. Like, like someone's trying to keep people away or remember or, God, I don't know. And Dax, he just said some paths are meant to be walked. That's it. Like, this is all normal. This is what I don't get about this town, Inez. This tree, I know, I saw 50 to 60 names, and it just kept climbing the tree. And they act like it's normal around here. Like losing children is just part of living here. The line went quiet, except for the soft exhale of Inez's breath. And then her voice, low and careful. Maggie, you need to be careful out there. You don't know these people, and I know that your family is from that town, but you don't even really know your family. Be careful. You may be crossing into places that you shouldn't. Maggie's eyes burned. I keep trying to tell myself that, Inez. I keep trying to tell myself that every day. But I wish that you could have been at the Black Veil. I wish you could have been at the tree. It was so heavy and so oppressive. Like I couldn't breathe. I keep telling me, I'm telling myself that the Black Past is just some kind of local superstition, that it's a legend, but Inez, Maggie's voice croaked. I saw her. I saw that little girl disappear. I just saw her. She just vanished like smoke. It felt real. I'm telling you, it felt real. I heard her. She was riding her bike. I could hear the bike pedals move. I could see it. And then I saw this other girl that just recently came up missing. And she just disappeared. Something just jerked her up in the air. Maggie, Inez said gently, you've been through trauma. You're exhausted. You're in a strange place, and sometimes the mind can do really weird. Stop it, Inez. I don't need you, my best friend, acting like I'm going insane, because I know I'm not. No. Maggie's tone sharpened, and it was fierce. This wasn't in my head. I know what I saw. I think something really bad, something evil, something dark is happening in Cherry Hill, and I think it's still happening. Inez sighed. Okay, then listen to me. Don't think like a mom, think like a journalist. You write everything down. Go back out there. Take photos of the tree. Every name, every place that you can possibly locate, every detail. Inez, you're a journalist. Maggie, you're a journalist at heart, and you need to treat this like an investigation. But don't go running into danger. I feel like I don't know. I need to talk to Preacher about it. Preacher was Inez's Gullah grandmother from the low country of Charleston, who saw things, knew things. Maggie nodded even though Inez couldn't see her. Promise me, Maggie. I promise. Do you want me to come up there? Inez asked softly. I can drive up there first thing in the morning. I'll be there like in the afternoon. We can hang out. No. No, Maggie said quickly. No, I don't want you here. Not yet. I just needed to hear your voice. There was a pause, long and heavy. Then Inez's voice came steadier now. Then listen, baby girl. You get some rest. You got your cat. You got that big old house. And you got me on the other end of the line. So you're not alone. All right? Maggie closed her eyes. Yeah, I know. When the call ended, she set the phone down, her hand trembling. The hunter's moon still glowed through the lace curtains. She hadn't told Inez about the circle or the paint that burned her face or the chants that were in Gaelic but turned into something that she understood beneath a hunter's moon. Dune lifted his head now, watching her with slow blinks, his orange eyes reflecting the moonlight like twin lanterns. Maggie reached down, stroked his fur, and whispered, "We're not alone in this, are we, boy?" Somewhere beyond the house, a branch cracked, and then another. And from the direction of the black veil, carried faintly through the rain, came the softest sound, almost like a child's cry, swallowed by the wind. Maggie froze, her hand stilling on Dune's back. The house went silent again, but sleep never came. The morning crept in without light. No sunrise broke the horizon. It never did in Cherry Hill. Only a low, still sky pressing over the town, heavy with rain. Maggie sat upright in bed, staring at nothing. The blankets twisted around her like seaweed. She hadn't slept. Not really. She dozed, jerked awake, and dozed again, haunted by the tree, the names. Olivia Jard, Valerie being ripped up off her bike by something unseen. The nightmare of little girls being snatched into shadow. She knew from the tree, though, that it wasn't just girls. It was boys, too. Inez's voice still echoed in her ears. You don't know these people, Maggie. But somehow her voice was more sinister than it had sounded on the phone. Be careful. And then, right before she'd hung up, a sharp note in her friend's voice. Hold on. Who in the hell is Dax? The sheriff, Maggie had murmured. But Inez's suspicious silence had lingered after the call ended. By 4 p.m., she couldn't lie still anymore. She rose like a sleepwalker, her body heavy and slow, and padded down the hall in her bare feet. Dune padded behind her, his claws clicking faintly on the old boards. Tail held low. The apocryphy room waited. Even in the early morning, it was dark. It felt different. felt denser, as if the air had weight to it. Moonlight filtered through the wavy glass panes, illuminating the table at the center. Maggie's eye caught on something she hadn't noticed before. A notebook. Its leather cover was worn to softness, a faded patina brown. But in the upper corner, in faded gold ink, was a name she now knew by heart. Aileen McLeod. Her breath caught. She reached forward with both hands reverently. It was warm, though the room was cold. A pen lay across it, as if someone had just been writing there and stepped out. She sat at the table, Dune hopping up onto the table with her, his amber eyes fixed on her. Her fingers trembled as she opened the notebook. Pages filled with her mother's looping script stared back. Spells, chants, list, sketches, sigils she didn't understand. The smell of old paper rose like ghost. Maggie pulled the notebook closer, turned it to a blank page, and began writing. Olivia, Valerie, Mark, Jacob, Cindy, Heather, Elizabeth, Laurie, Kayla, Debbie. The names began to flood her mind. She knew more than she thought she knew. The names tumbled out in a crooked list, her pen scratching against the paper. She squeezed her eyes shut, trying to remember more. But they slipped away like water through her fingers. She pressed the pen harder, frustration shaking her shoulders. Inez had been right. She was still a journalist at heart, an investigator. And there was a story there, a story that she could not let go. Dax could warn her. The librarian could warn her. Inez could warn her. But she wasn't going to let it go. Chloe could tell her to leave it alone, but she wasn't. She couldn't. She wrote a final line in the notebook, her handwriting jagged. Go back, Maggie, and write down all the names on the tree. She couldn't quite explain it, but she felt a sense of danger surround her at that moment. So she scribbled underneath of it. If I'm not here, I'm at the Black Veil. Dune meowed softly, rubbing his head against her elbow. She reached over and stroked his fur. I don't want to go back alone, boy, but I have no choice, she whispered. She turned her head. Maybe she should tell someone. Let someone know what she was about to do. She walked to the kitchen and grabbed her purse. She pulled out the gold embossed business card that had Chloe's store on it. She pulled it free and then lifted her phone and dialed. It rang once, twice, 3 times. And then Chloe's warm voice came through alert, even this early in the morning. Hello? Chloe, it's Maggie Drake. Can we talk? Her voice was thin but urgent. Is everything okay? I'm sorry, did I wake you up? No. I got up early. I have a shipment coming in around 10. So I'm just trying to do my yoga and settle in for the morning. Are you okay? Do you want to meet for lunch? My shipment should be in by then and everything boxed away. Maggie hesitated. Yes, lunch would be great. Thanks. Okay, good. Let's meet at my shop at noon. That works. When the line went dead, she closed the notebook and held it against her chest. Doom pressed his nose to her arm, as if trying to anchor her. I swear, she looked at him. I think sometimes there's a man inside of you. You're not a cat, are you? Doom playfully purred. The rain had settled into a steady mist by the time Maggie parked outside the little cafe on Cherry Hills Main Street. The windows glowed warm, a contrast to the slate sky above her. She slipped inside, the bell over the door tingling. Chloe was already there, seated in a back booth, her hair twisted up, her presence serene and composed as ever. But when Maggie slid into the seat across from her, Chloe's smile flickered at the edges. They ordered quietly, and when the waitress left, Maggie began. I met the sheriff yesterday. Oh, Dax! Yeah, Drew works for him. That's right. I completely forgot that, she said, keeping her voice low. His daughter and his daughter took me sightseeing. Wow, that was quick. So what did you think? Where did they take you? Chloe's expression stayed neutral, but her eyes darkened a shade. They took me to this place called the Black Veil, Maggie continued. We were on a trail by the river and I started seeing all these signs. Keep out. Danger. Proceed at your own risk. And then I saw this tree. It was a tree, Chloe, with children's names nailed to it. Dozens. It went up as far as I could see. I don't even know how many names were there. Olivia's name was there, the girl that went missing a couple days ago. Chloe exhaled slowly, but she didn't speak. And on the way back, Maggie pressed. I saw this house. There was this house, and it had toys and flowers and teddy bears in the yard, and that's where Olivia lived. Dax said it. He said that was where the little girl lived that was taken. Chloe exhaled slowly, the sound soft but heavy. Maggie. I'm an investigator, Chloe. she said, her voice rising. I'm a journalist, damn it. There's something wrong here, terribly wrong, and I'm gonna get to the bottom of it. Lower your voice, Maggie. No one's talking about this. Did you know about this tree? Maggie? There's no records, there's no coverage, there's nothing. Chloe finally met her eyes. I'm gonna say this as a friend. I hope that you consider me as a friend now. You need to leave it alone, Maggie. Some truths are heavier than they look. You don't know what you're dealing with. I can't leave it alone. I just can't. All these children's names pinned to that tree like a memorial. What happened to them? Chloe leaned in. Her face was quiet but intense. You don't want to go so far that you can't come back. Maggie, you might not like what you find. I'm warning you. Leave it alone. No. I can't leave it alone. And I won't leave it alone. I'm going, Maggie said, her jaw tight. I'm going to get all those names. All of them, if I have to. Chloe looked down at the tabletop, tracing the rim of her glass with one finger. You've been warned? Be careful out there, Maggie Drake. I will, Maggie said, though even she didn't know if it was true. Outside, the rain darkened the street to mirrored glass. Inside, the cafe's warmth did nothing to quiet the chill in Maggie's bones. She'd made her decision. She wasn't going to stop. No matter what waited for her at the Black Veil. Chloe stood up. Well, I need to get back to the shop. Let me know how it goes when you come back. She lowered her eyes. If you come back. The rain had softened to a whisper by the time the waitress cleared her plate, but the windows of the little cafe still wept with condensation. A weak gray light pressed through, bending the shadows across Maggie's face in trembling patterns. Maggie looked at her, searching for a way to frame what she was about to say. Chloe, she began quietly, folding her hands around the mug between them. Would you consider going with me? Back to the Black Veil. If you're saying that I'm in so much danger, go with me. The words landed like a stone dropped into still water. Chloe went completely still. Her hand froze around the edge of her teacup, her gaze shifting from Maggie's face to the rain-laced window and back again. The silence stretched until it felt like something physical, something heavy that filled the air between them. When she finally spoke, her voice was almost too soft to hear. No, no, I won't go there. Maggie blinked. No? Chloe shook her head once. The motion was deliberate and slow, like she was trying to shake off a memory she didn't want to remember. No, Maggie. I will not go back there. Yes, in answer to your question, I have been to the tree. I've seen it. And you shouldn't go there either. But you said yourself that these... I know what I said. Chloe's voice sharpened for the first time, low but cutting. Maggie, there are places in these hills that the light will not touch. Forever shrouded in darkness. And there are things that dwell in that darkness that you can't even begin to imagine. The Black Veil is one of them. You can't understand what that place is until it's too late. Maggie's pulse quickened. She leaned forward, lowering her voice. You mean it's dangerous? I've already heard that from Dax. Chloe's eyes snapped to hers. No, I mean it's alive. The two women sat in perfect stillness for a moment. Somewhere a coffee machine hissed, a spoon clattered. Rain tapped like tiny fingers against the window pane. Chloe inhaled shakily, visibly trying to gather herself. But, she said quietly, I can see in your eyes that you're already bound and determined to go. It's already written over you. The curiosity, the pull. You've already made the choice yourself. But I want you to ask this question. Are you the one that's wanting to go? Or is something pulling you there? Maggie didn't answer. You won't find anyone that wants to go to the Black Pass with you. No one that won't want to go to the Black Veil with you, because we know what is there. I gave you a warning last night, and I don't know if you heeded it or not, but I'm telling you again. Don't let that place have you, Maggie. Don't let it have you. What do you mean by have me? What do you mean? The medallion began to heat against her skin. It always did when she was becoming frustrated. What do you mean? Let it have me. Maggie's eyes widened, and Chloe's did too. It's reacting to you, Maggie. It's reacting to you. That medallion around your neck, it's sensing what's to come. She leaned closer, lowering her voice so only Maggie could hear. Please, please be careful. You don't know what you're walking into stepping on that land. Maggie met her eyes, the warmth from the medallion searing against her skin like a warning and a promise all at once. I'll be careful, she said finally. her voice steady even though her heart wasn't. But I can't let this go, Chloe. I have to find out what happened to those children, even if no one else will. I need to know what's happening out there. Those children need a voice, and I've got to find out what happened. Chloe stared at her for a long, heavy moment, and then she held out her hand toward the medallion. Wait, you said that no one is supposed to touch my stones. Chloe withdrew her hand. Slowly, as though letting go of someone who was already halfway gone. The medallion still burned as Maggie rose from the table. I will return. I will. I'm not going to let whatever is in those hills take me. You sound so confident, Maggie Drake. So certain. Outside, the rain had stopped, but the clouds hung low and thick as Maggie left the diner. The color of bruised still, and somewhere far up the mountain, the wind moaned through the trees, carrying the faintest sound. Something between a whisper and a warning. The rain had thickened into a cold drizzle by the time Maggie reached the hardware store. The front windows were fogged. Halos of orange light from the hanging bulbs spilling over displays of tarps, garden tools, and work gloves. The sign above the door flickered in a rhythmic hum. Harris and Sons Hardware, since 1929. A bell chimed softly as she stepped inside. The scent hit her first, a mix of oil, wet wood, and iron. Rows of tools gleamed dully under fluorescent light, and an old radio played a country song that crackled and faded as static. Maggie brushed the rain from her sweater and made her way down an aisle, lined with slickers, ropes, and lanterns. Her mind was fixed on one thing: preparation. Preparing for what? To go to the Black Veil. She needed to be ready this time, ready for whatever she found at the Black Veil. She picked up a raincoat first, a deep green long enough to reach her knees, then a pair of heavy rubber boots, a flashlight caught her eye next, industrial grade, the kind that cut through the dark. She tested the beam, watching it slice through the dim aisle. Her reflection shimmered faintly in the metal shelves, pale, tired, and determined. She didn't hear the footsteps until a familiar voice came up from behind her. Well, hello there, Maggie Drake. Her stomach dropped. She turned sharply, clutching the flashlight as though it were a weapon. Graham Sinclair stood just a few paces away, tall and self-assured, a trademark charm painted across his face. His hair was damp from the rain, curling slightly at the edges of his collar, and his dark overcoat looked far too elegant for a hardware store. For a heartbeat, she froze. He looked like someone who knew exactly what someone was thinking. It was those damn eyes of his. A deep blue, but yet a deep green, but then a green and then a blue. They changed. And right now his eyes were fixed on the pile of supplies that were in her arms. A faint smile curved his lips. Stocking up for a storm? Or are we headed hiking? Maggie's laugh came out thinner than she meant it to. No, not a hike, really. I'm just going on a walk. Graham's expression didn't change, but his gaze sharpened considerably. A walk? He repeated, his voice a low drawl. In this weather? Maggie shifted under his scrutiny, her fingers tightening around the raincoat she was holding. I'm going out to the Black Veil. The words left her mouth before she could stop them. Graham's entire face changed. The easy charm fell away. His jaw tightened. The color in his eyes darkened, almost a storm gray. And for a long second, he didn't speak. Then, in a motion so fast that she barely registered it, he reached out and gripped her upper arm. Let go of me! The single word cracked like thunder. She blinked, startled, feeling the firm pressure of his fingers. What are you doing? He pulled her gently but urgently out of the aisle. Behind a rack of canvas work coats and shelves of dusty shoe boxes. They were half hidden from the register now, the hum of the old radio muffled by the hanging fabric. His grip loosened, but the intensity in his eyes did not. Maggie, he said, his voice low, almost a growl. Why would you go into that place? Do you have any idea what you're doing? Her pulse pounded. I went with Dax and his daughter yesterday. We stopped by a waterfall. It was called the Black Veil. He stared at her like she'd said something dangerous. And then she went on, her words spilling fast now. We walked along this river trail. There were signs everywhere. Keep out, danger, proceed at your own risk. And then I saw it. She swallowed. It was a tree. A huge tree with all these wooden plaques nailed to it. Dozens of them. Names, Olivia, Mark, Debbie, kids. Graham, these are the children. These are the children that disappeared from Cherry Hill. Maggie. And you know what's worse? Her voice trembled, angry and disbelieving. There's nothing about it anywhere. Did you know that? No news reports, no articles. No records, just whispers and warnings and this silence that I meet with everyone in this town. You, Chloe, the librarian, Miss McCollum, Edie, all of you, the sheriff. All I meet is silence. Why? Why is everyone pretending it's not happening? Maggie, he said again, sharper this time. Lower your voice. No! She snapped, pulling her arm back, her medallion heating up again. You lower yours. You're an attorney, for God's sake. Don't tell me you don't know something about what is going on here. Why have these kids never been investigated? Why have they never been researched? Why are their names on a tree? Graham exhaled through his nose, his hand dragging through his hair, as though he were fighting the urge to say more. For a long moment, the only sound was the faint hum of the lights above them and the slow, steady drip of rain from the gutters outside. Then his voice dropped into something colder. Leave it alone. Her eyes widened. What? I'm telling you now, Maggie. Leave it. There are things in this town that are better off buried. You dig too deep, Miss Drake, and you're gonna forget it. And you're gonna regret it. You mean the truth? She shot back. You mean the truth about what's happening here and what's happening to these children? I went to a circle last night, and did you know they were praying against other children being taken? Shut up, Maggie. He stepped closer, his face shadowed. You mean you want me to be silenced, just like everyone else is, about the truth of what's happening here and about what's happening to these children? There needs to be an investigation, and when I open it up, it's gonna go worldwide. He stepped closer, his face shadowed. I mean danger, Maggie. You think I don't admire your fire, I do. But Cherry Hill eats the ones who go looking for answers. Believe it or not, Mr. Sinclair, I don't scare that easily. Not after everything I've been through. So bring it on. Graham leaned closer to her. You should. The air between them thickened. Neither of them moved. The low hum of the radios seemed to vanish, leaving only the sound of their breath and the steady tick of the rain outside. Finally, Graham straightened, the mask of composure slipping back into place. You're making a mistake, Maggie Drake. A big one. Maybe. She answered, her voice trembling but steady. But it's mine to make. His gaze lingered on her, conflicted, maybe even afraid, and then he turned away, his jaw tight. When Maggie finally paid for her things and stepped out into the cold rain, the bell above the door jingled softly behind her. She turned. Everybody in the hardware store was looking at her. Do you see what you're looking at? She asked them, and they quickly averted their eyes. She had had enough of this town. Enough of people looking at her like she was odd. Enough of people butting into her business where it didn't belong. And that included Graham Sinclair. But even after she started the Bronco and drove away, she could still feel the echo of Graham's grip on her arm. And somewhere deep in her chest, beneath the steady thrum of her heart, the medallion pulsed like a second heartbeat. Hot, alive, and warning her that she had just crossed a line that could never be crossed. Let's take a 10-minute intermission, get a drink, get some snacks, and when we come back, I will read the next half of Cherry Hill. I hope you're enjoying it. For those of you who might have came in after the gown reveal, I'm going to show the gown again. Tonight is a very mermaid vibe. It is so gorgeous. This one indeed makes me feel like I'm the queen of the ocean. It is sequined, pink, purple. It's very iridescent. The blue is just gorgeous. And there you go. And that is the gown for this evening. It's a one shoulder, which I love. So what are we thinking about Maggie Drake now? Let's go see. So good to be back in the seat tonight. Loving it. Thank you all for your energy tonight is absolutely amazing. Missed you all so much. Very mermaid. Well, thank you, Jazz. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello, Scare Hunter. So what are y'all thinking? What do you think is getting ready to happen? Don't forget to share the daily heart me's. My hearts suck. My heart me and my popular. And please don't forget to share, share, share. Thank you for sharing the live. I saw that when I was reading. Hello, Amy. Who's that girl? Hello. Tanya Jean, hello. Thank you, thank you. You think Graham is going to follow her, Melanie? Angie Locke, thank you for the shares. Oh, thank you, Chris. Thank you. Hey, Paula. Welcome in, welcome in. If you are new here, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Bryn Morgan. I am a horror author. I am also a teller of stories. Every kind of story that you can imagine. Scary stories, paranormal stories, ghost stories, true crime, serial unalivers, urban legend, cryptids, dark fairy tales, Stephen King. I'll take horror movies and turn them into a story. We have a lot of fun here on Twisted Tales Live. If you like scary stories, consider hitting that follow button and the notification bell and never missing another Twisted Tales. Do you like scary stories? So that was Dax. Dax is the sheriff of Cherry Hill. And his daughter she is Kat, the one that worked at the diner and had an attachment to Dune. And she was the one that saw that Maggie and Dune had a link. And so she suggested that Maggie take Dune. So, Maggie was thrilled when they came up there because Kat came up to Cherry Hill House to see the cat. And Kat kind of has an idea. Her dad is a widow. Maggie doesn't appear to be with anyone. And she had told him, when they arrived there at the house, she said, "She's pretty, isn't she, Daddy?" Like I said. And he said, "Yes." And then Kat suggested that they take her on a sightseeing tour. And so that is how Maggie came into contact with the Black Veil. She started seeing the signs, and then she saw this tree. And I want y'all to picture this tree in your own way, but in my mind, this tree is so massive. It looks ancient. It looks like it's from another time. And it has names of children painted on it, plaques with children's names nailed to it, and it just stretches up as far as the eye can see. And that is how I picture this tree in my mind. This tree is gigantic, and just soars. It's so tall. You might have pictured something more gnarled, and that's the great thing about imagination when you're writing a book or when you're reading a book. It can be whatever you want it to be. You're welcome. I am doing a lot better. Missed you, Carol. Exactly, Tigger. I'm trying to do an AI rendering of how I see this tree, and it's just massive. In the Low Country, we have a tree. I think it's called. My husband can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's called the Angel Oak. I think, and this tree looks like something from like from magic, from Ireland, from somewhere. I mean, it is the most massive tree, and it's got so many branches shooting off of it and everything. I forget what the name of it is, though. Thank you for getting us to 200K. But when you're around this tree, it just feels ancient to you. It just feels ancient and powerful and millions of years older than you are. Has it been 10 minutes? I've got to start setting a timer. I think it's called the Angel Oak. All right, we'll give everybody a couple more minutes to come back in. No, it doesn't feel oppressive, Lulu. It feels like, I can't explain it. It feels magical. It feels like, if you look closely enough at it, you would see fairies. Like you would see fairies up in the top branches. It's that magical. Let me see if I can, find a picture of it. I'm looking. It's on John's Island. I knew it was somewhere in the Low Country. Can y'all see it? It's massive. It's gigantic. Pictures really do not do it justice. This will give you an idea of the magnitude of this tree. This is people standing next to it. And we actually, we did not climb up on the branches, but they won't allow anyone to do that. But I did see a few that actually tried. Doesn't it look like something out of another time? Like in a magical fairyland? Yeah, it's massive. So that's kind of how I picture this tree being at the Black Veil. I am not. I am not. I just tell stories. But that tree is just absolutely beautiful. Are you really, Jess? Have you heard of that tree? That tree is unreal. All right. Who is ready to get back into Cherry Hill? Oh, wow. Yes, Lulu, it does look like that. Oh, thank you, Lisa. That's so sweet of you. All right. Who's ready? Hello, Citrine. What are you doing, little girl? Oh, yes, absolutely. That is so cool that you're a tree surgeon. I love that. Yeah, so that's an old tree. You like the story you're hearing tonight? consider hitting that follow button and never missing another one. We'll be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Don't miss it. Let's get back into story time now. The house was utterly silent when Maggie returned to Cherry Hill. The rain had thinned to a soft mist that clung to the porch railings and jeweled the glass panes of the front door. The moment she stepped inside, she felt the old familiar weight again, the sensation that the house was listening, watching. She shook it off, locking the door behind her. The parlor lamp threw a warm circle of light, golden against the darkness that pressed at every edge of the room. Dune followed close to her heels, tail swishing, orange eyes gleaming faintly in the lamplight. "All right, boy," she murmured, setting her bags on the table. "We've got a big day ahead of us. Well, I have a big day ahead of me, but you know what I mean." Her voice felt too loud in the stillness. From the hardware store bag, she pulled out her gear, the raincoat, heavy rubber boots, the industrial flashlight. At the front counter, she had grabbed an extra charger and a small notebook embossed with her mother's initials, A.N. Aileen McLeod. She set everything neatly on the old desk in the corner, beside the apothecary jars and the rows of strange dried herbs that still carried her mother's scent. The air smelled of cedar, lavender, and something metallic, like a storm, waiting to break. She checked her phone, fully charged. She plugged in the backup battery pack anyway and lined up her themes, methodical, steady, the way she used to before an interview, before a press deadline. It kept her hands from shaking. Dune leapt onto the desk and sat beside the notebook, curling his tail delicately around his paws. His eyes followed her every move, intelligent and alert. "What? You think I'm crazy too?" she asked softly. He blinked once, slowly, almost solemn, and then turned his gaze toward the window, toward the Black Pass. The storm outside had returned. The trees at the edge of the property were moving, bending with the wind, shadows shifting like figures. Maggie closed the curtains quickly, the fabric whispering between her fingers. She had just turned her head upstairs when her phone vibrated on the desk. The screen glowed in the dim room. Graham Sinclair, Sinclair Bishop, and Carrington Lowell. Her stomach tightened. She hesitated for half a second before swiping to answer, and then she did. "Hello?" "Maggie." His voice was low and urgent. "Have you reconsidered this stupid move you're about to make?" She sighed, rubbing her temple. "Graham, I don't need your permission to go for a walk." "This isn't a walk," he snapped. "You're headed straight into the Black Veil, and you don't even know what you're dealing with. That place, it's not just a patch of woods. It's..." He exhaled the sound rough and tight. "Damn it, Maggie! You're stirring things up, and people are noticing it." "What people?" she asked, her voice hardening. "I was in the store this afternoon. I heard them whispering. The woman from the bakery, the gas clerk, a few of the old-timers who sit outside City Hall every day pretending to play checkers. You're becoming the talk of Cherry Hill, Maggie, and it's not in a good way. People are wondering why you're here, and they're wondering why you aren't leaving things alone." Because someone needs to, she shot back. Because children are missing, and the whole town's pretending like it's normal. Maggie, his tone softened, but just barely. Not everyone in Cherry Hill can be trusted. I'm just telling you that. Yeah, I know. I know a lot. Graham, I know about the librarian's husband who was found in 4 feet of water, but he was 6'4" and drowned, and his neck was cracked. Yeah, I know a lot, Graham. Her fingers tightened around the phone. I can take care of myself. Not against that. Not against that, you kid. A long silence stretched between them, filled with nothing but the faint hum of wind against the house. I'm going, she said finally. In the morning. Please reconsider it, Maggie. No. He exhaled, defeated. Then God help you, Maggie Drake. She hung up before he could say anything else. The quiet that followed was thick, almost suffocating. She climbed the stairs slowly, Doom padding behind her, his claws whispering against the wood. In her room, the air felt heavier and cooler. The moonlight coming through the windows was faint and orange, the last of the hunter's moon sinking behind the ridge. Maggie laid her raincoat and boots neatly beside the bed, along with jeans and a shirt. She set her notebook and flashlight on the nightstand, her mother's necklace resting against her collarbone like a small weight. She turned off the light and slid beneath the quilt. Dune curled against her feet, his purr a soft rumble that lulled her towards sleep. But sleep didn't come easily. Her mind replayed the day, the waterfall, the signs, the tree, the whispered warnings, and Graham's voice, low and insistent, not everyone in Cherry Hill can be trusted. Was he threatening her? Was he the one that couldn't be trusted? Her eyes fluttered open to darkness. The medallion was warm against her chest. Too warm. At first she thought she was dreaming. The air in the bedroom shifted, the temperature dropping so suddenly that her breath came out in a faint white cloud. Dune's purring stopped, and then a sound. Soft. Almost like fabric brushing against the floorboards. Maggie's heart stuttered. She turned her head slowly, her gaze drawn toward the far corner of the room near the vanity mirror. Something was there. At first it was nothing more than a shimmer, a ripple in the dark, like heat rising from pavement. Then the shimmer began to take shape, slender, graceful, human, the outline of a woman. Her features were soft and delicate, her hair like flowing copper, falling past her shoulders in waves. Her skin glowed faintly, illuminated by a light that didn't seem to come from the moon. Her dress was long and white and luminous, its edges dissolving into mist that barely touched the floor. Maggie couldn't breathe. Dune had risen from the foot of the bed, his back arched, his fur bristling, a low growl rumbling deep in his throat. The woman's eyes were a pale green and full of sorrow. They met Maggie's. Maggie's voice broke. Who are you? A woman's lips parted. When she spoke, it wasn't a sound exactly. It was a whisper that filled the space between words, as though the words being breathed directly into Maggie's mind. Maggie froze. The name pulsed in the air, a name she had heard only in dreams, only whispered in her blood. The apparition said again, voice trembling with something that sounded like love and grief intertwined. Maggie pushed herself up in bed, shaking. What do you want? The figure only tilted her head, expression soft and mournful. And Maggie knew, deep down, she knew. This was the clearest that she had ever seen her. The woman was her mother, Aileen McLeod. Not as she had seen in the photographs, older, immortal, touched by sorrow, but radiant, young, untouched by time. Maggie's throat tightened. Aileen? The ghostly figure took one step closer to Maggie. The air shimmered around her, carrying the faint scent of heather and smoke. Her mother's voice was breaking now, like she was struggling to speak through water, through centuries. What are you trying to tell me? Why are you here? I'm going to the Black Veil. I'm going to the tree. What are you trying to tell me? What do you want from me? The medallion around her neck burned hot, so hot that she clutched it, gasping. Doom hissed, tells popped, ear flat. What do you want from me? Maggie shouted, her voice trembling. The figure lifted her hand, as though to reach out. But before her fingers could touch Maggie, could brush against her cheek, her form began to unravel. Mist curling, dispersing. And as she faded, her voice came one last time, faint as breath, trembling in the cold air. Beware the dark that has a familiar face. And then she was gone. The room was silent again. The only sound was Dune's low growl fading into a whimper. Maggie lay there trembling, staring at the space where her mother had stood. The air still shimmered faintly, like the ghost of moonlight lingering long after dawn. The medallion was scorching hot against her chest, so hot that it had made a mark. She touched it once more and whispered almost to herself, I don't know what she means. I don't know what she means. The morning had a bruise-colored sky, swollen and gray. Cherry Hill House stood in a mist that clung to its eaves like breath, the grass wet and silvered with dew. Maggie Drake locked the front door behind her, glancing back through the glass one last time. Dune sat in the window, tail flicking, his amber eyes fixed on her as though he knew she wasn't coming back. The same. Be good, she whispered, her voice catching in the stillness. The air outside carried the faintest smell of rain and something older, something earthy, something metallic, ancient. The wind tugged at her coat as she climbed into the Bronco, set her new pin on the seat beside her, and started down the long, winding drive toward the main road. The road to the Whitlock farm was narrow and lonely, cutting between dark strands of pine that seemed to lean inward, pressing close. Maggie drove slow. The GPS flickered, then went blank. The rain began again, steady and relentless. She knew she was close when she saw the fence. What was left of it? It slumped and gaped, half swollen by vines. Beyond it, at the end of the muddy drive, sat the house she had seen before. The one that she had passed by the day before with Dax. The one she had seen in her dream. It was worse up close. The old white clapboard farmhouse sagged in the middle like it exhaled and forgotten to inhale again. Its paint peeled in long curling strips. The porch bowed and listed to one side, its railings half gone. A single bare bulb burned above the front door, its glow faint and sickly yellow through the rain, swinging in the breeze. In the yard stood a small, rusted pickup truck, its tires sunk deep into the mud. But what stopped Maggie cold were the things that were gathered beneath the tree at the edge of the property. An altar made of sorrow, bouquets of wilted flowers, waterlogged teddy bears, handmade cards darkened by the weather, children's toys, all colors dulled by dirt and rain. Maggie sat in the Bronco, gripping the wheel until her knuckles turned white. She knew before she even got out that this was the place, the house where Olivia Whitlock had disappeared in the front yard. The place she had seen in that terrible dream. The child lifted from the earth like smoke by something unseen. Rain drummed harder on the roof. Maggie pulled her hood up and stepped out, her boots sinking into the muck. She could smell the rot of the wet wood, the faint tang of iron from the earth. The bulb over the porch flickered as she walked across the soggy yard and climbed the steps. She knocked on the screen door. The sound of it, thin metal rattling, echoed strangely. For a moment, there was no answer. Then she heard slow, dragging footsteps on old wood floors. The doors creaked open, just a sliver. A woman's face appeared in the gap, pale, lined, gaunt, wary, very wary. Her hair hung in wet strands, and her eyes, that were probably a lovely gray once, darted over Maggie's raincoat, bloodshot and red. Her face, her hands. What do you want? The woman's voice was raw and guarded. Maggie steadied herself. Miss Whitlock, my name is Maggie. The door slammed in her face. Get yourself off my property before I call the sheriff. Miss Whitlock, I wanted to talk to you about Olivia. I said get yourself out of here. Maggie steadied herself. She knocked again. Miss Whitlock, I really want to talk to you about Olivia. I want to try to help you. There was silence. Maggie's heart pounded. The journalist in her rose to the surface, the part of that couldn't let go once she caught the scent of a story. Once she caught the scent of someone who needed her help. She knocked again, louder this time. Her old journalism ways coming back. Miss Whitlock, please. I want to talk to you about the disappearances, about Olivia. I want to help you. Please let me in. The rain battered the tin roof harder. Silence stretched. Then slowly the screen door creaked open again. One gray eye appeared behind the mesh. Bloodshot. Why? The woman asked hoarsely. Nobody else does. Because I do, Maggie said softly. Because I care. The woman hesitated for a long moment and then unlatched the screen. Come in. You have 5 minutes. Inside smelled of mildew, coffee long gone cold. The floorboards moaned beneath Maggie's boots as she walked into a sparsely furnished area that you would call a living room. 1970s furniture that was pea green. It was dim and cluttered with toys. Broken dolls, puzzle pieces, tiny shoes. Dust hung in the light like ash. A half-empty baby bottle sat on a table. Mary Whitlock moved slowly. Even though she was probably in her 30s, she walked like she was in her 60s. Her shoulders bent under an invisible weight. She motioned for Maggie to sit at the kitchen table with her. A clock clicked somewhere in another room. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. Each second like a heartbeat. What are you going to do to help me? I want to get the story. I want to get the story on what happened to Olivia. I've told that story so many times now. Mary began to fiddle around with the coffee cup, twirling it around and around and around. She came to me that night, you know. Mary began without preamble, her voice distant, staring off at something in the distance that Maggie could not see. She came to me in the middle of the night, said she couldn't sleep. Maggie didn't move. Olivia? Your daughter? Yeah. said she heard singing, a woman's voice outside her window, soft like a lullaby. Maggie pulled out her notepad and pen. So, the night before Olivia disappeared, she came to your bedroom telling you that she was hearing singing outside her window? Yeah, she did. Mary's face and her voice were haunted. Maggie felt a chill crawl up her neck. What did you do? Mary's mouth trembled. I told her it was just the wind. I told her to go back to bed. I was tired. I shouldn't have told her that. She gripped the edge of the table until her knuckles blanched. What happened then, Mary? Next morning, I was cooking breakfast, pancakes. Jake, my husband, was reading the paper. The other kids were running through the house. The baby was crying, and Olivia, her voice broke. She came in wearing these little red boots. Her grandma had bought her these ladybug rain boots. They were this bright red. Maggie remembered the one rain boot that was outside in the yard, near the altar of toys. Said she wanted to go outside and play while breakfast was cooking. The woman's eyes glazed as she looked toward the window as if she could see it happening all over again. I said yes. Just for a few minutes, Olivia. Maggie's throat tightened. The rain outside had picked up again, rattling the panes like impatient fingers. Mary's voice dropped to a whisper. Miss Drake, have you ever heard the wind that sounded like it was alive? Maggie shook her head. No, I never have. That's how it was. It wasn't just moving through the trees. It was like it was breathing. Like something with lungs. I walked down the hall to the front door. She was there, in the yard, spinning her pinwheels and splashing up and down with her boots. And then I turned my back, just for a second, to stir the batter. And then it hit. I thought a tornado was hitting us. That wind, it screamed through the yard. Tears slipped down Mary's cheeks. I ran down the hall toward the door. I knew something was wrong. And she was gone. Just gone. Like she'd been ripped out of this world. The only thing that was left was one goat. There wasn't a sound, there was no scream, there was no cry. Just her pinwheel spinning in the dirt. Lightning flashed, lighting Mary's face from below. No one cares, she whispered. They came by with their casseroles. Said she must have wandered off. Said these things happen. But I know better, Miss Drake. Someone picked up my baby girl out of the air. Someone took her, and that someone wasn't human. It wasn't human. Maggie's pulse thundered in her ears. Who? Who took her? Something from the Black Pass? Mary's eyes went wide. She nodded, her lips trembling. Jake, my husband, he looks for her every day, Miss Drake. She said, from sunrise to dark. He can't stop. He won't stop looking for them. Them. The children's names that I saw on the tree. No. What do you mean? Mary's voice broke. Two years ago, our boy, Dylan, he disappeared too. Just like her. Just gone. He was at the edge of the woods. Jake came in and asked me if I told him to come in and wash his hands for dinner, and I said no, he was with you. They searched the hollers, the creeks, everything. He was nowhere to be found. The clock ticked louder. The storm moaned through the eaves. Maggie swallowed hard. Do you know about the tree? Mary's head snapped up. Everyone knows about that tree, Miss Drake. Her voice had a hollow, reverent tone now. All those names carved into it. All those decades of children. The Black Pass keeps their own ledger, Miss Drake. That tree is its record book. She reached out suddenly and grabbed Maggie's hand. Her skin was cold. Trembling. You might as well stop it right here, Miss Drake. You won't find them. You won't find any of them. Olivia and Dylan are gone. All the rest, they're gone, taken, and they don't come back. Her eyes filled again, the color of storm water. I've accepted it at this point. My husband hasn't, but I have, and you should too. Her fingers squeezed harder. Once the Black Past takes someone, Miss Drake, they never return. They belong to it forever. The wind outside howled again, slamming against the house like a living thing. The light flickered. Maggie's breath caught in her throat. Mary's voice fell to a whisper, the final thread of sound in that haunted kitchen. Stop looking, Miss Drake. You won't find them. The Black Past doesn't give them up. The house creaked. The bulbs swayed above the porch, throwing shadows that seemed to move of their own accord. The wind outside rose again as Maggie left the house. The wind was high and mournful, almost like a woman's song. The rain had begun again before Maggie even reached the end of the gravel drive. By the time she turned off onto the mountain road, it was falling in a steady cold curtain that blurred the world into watercolor gray. She drove in silence, the Bronco's wipers dragging across the windshield in slow rhythmic groans. Her hands were tight around the steering wheel. The conversation with Mary replayed again and again in her mind. The wind that sounded alive, the empty yard, the toys around the trees, the sound of her daughter's laughter disappearing into nothing. These were images that would not leave Maggie's mind. Olivia's name still rang in her ears. The road curved upward, winding through the thickening trees. Fog clung low to the ground, rolling across the asphalt like smoke. Don't go there, she heard Chloe's voice. Don't do it, Maggie, she heard Graham's voice. The Black Past doesn't give back the children it takes. Don't go, Mary's voice said. But Maggie continued driving. And then she heard Inez. Don't trust everybody in Cherry Hill, Maggie. You don't know them. The higher she climbed, the darker it grew. Even though it was only late afternoon, the sky looked like twilight, a bruise-colored dome pressing low over the mountains. Maggie flicked on her headlights, gripping the wheel tighter. The Bronco shuddered as the wind pushed against it. Every turn of the road felt heavier, quieter, lonelier. By the time she reached the trailhead near the Black Veil, the rain had become a downpour. She parked at the edge of the dirt path, killed the engine, and sat for a long moment, listening to the sound of the storm hammering against the roof. Her reflection stared back at her in the mirror, pale, exhausted, but determined. She reached up, touched the medallion beneath her coat, and whispered, "You have to do this, Maggie. You're doing this for the children. For the children." But even she doubted herself as she opened the door. Pulling the hood of the raincoat tight, she stepped out into the storm. The wind hit her like a wall, fierce, cold, relentless. Water ran down her face into her collar. Her boots sank into the mud as she started down the trail, the flashlight beam cutting a thin, trembling path through the dark. The deeper she went, the heavier the air became. Branches creaked overhead. The rain sounded strange here, not like water on leaves, but like whispers, endless and overlapping. She froze. The sound was faint, soft enough to almost mistake for wind. She turned, scanning the trees behind her. Nothing moved except the sheets of rain. She pushed forward. The path grew narrower, swallowed by ferns and dripping moss. The ground was slick, the earth black and spongy. Underfoot, she could smell soil, old wood, and something metallic, sharp, almost like iron. The medallion against her chest began to warm, almost burning. When she finally stepped into the clearing, the breath left her body. The black veil waterfall thundered in the distance, but it wasn't the water that held her. It was the path ahead. She started down the trail and began to see the signs that she saw the day before. Proceed at your own risk. Don't enter. Beware. Danger. And then she saw it. The tree. The same monstrous tree that she'd seen before with Dax and Kat, and in her nightmares. Older than anything around it, its bark blackened by time and rain. Names covered its trunk, layer upon layer, carved, nailed, painted, written in fading ink, dozens, hundreds, generations of names. Olivia, Dylan, Clara, Kayla, Elizabeth, Drake, Ben, Thomas, William, names of children long gone. She lifted her phone with trembling hands and began to take pictures. But as she took the pictures and would look at the photos, they were bright flashes of light. No names were noticeable. Damn it! The flash burst against the slick bark, lighting the names up like ghosts and fading. Her fingers brushed one of the small wooden plaques and a chill shot through her arm. The surface was slick with rain, but the wood pulsed faintly beneath her palm as though it still lived. She stepped back, and then she heard it. A child's scream, faint, thin, carried on the wind. Her heart lurched. She swung the flashlight toward the sound. The beam caught only the rain, the falling sheets of it, and the restless movement of the trees. And then another voice, a little girl's whisper, breathy, right beside her ear. Her blood turned to ice. The air around her changed. The sound of the storm dimmed, replaced by something else, something deeper, something older. Low humming rose from the ground like the forest itself was singing. And then came the voices, not one, dozens, and then multiplied by hundreds. Layered, distant, pleading, screaming, crying. We're here! Help us! Her name, not Maggie. Kenna. The sound tore through her chest. The medallion burned like fire. The flashlight flickered wildly. She looked up and saw movement in the rain from the hills, approaching quickly. Shadows, black shadows, everywhere. Can They were forming shapes, not quite human, not quite smoke, faces half seen, hands reaching, bodies twisting through the downpour. The whispers swelled into a chorus. Children's laughter turning into cries, cries turning into screams. Mama, please help me. She stumbled backward, nearly falling into the mud. The beam of her flashlight cut across the clearing, and for an instant, she saw something standing apart from the rest. A shape, broader, taller, darker than the others. It stood motionless at the far edge of the clearing, watching her, tilting its head. The rain blurred its outline, but she could see its head tilt slightly, the faint suggestion of arms, the heaviness of its presence pressing against her lungs. The voice grew louder, circling her, swirling through the air like a storm within the storm. Her knees gave out. She sank to the ground, clutching her chest. The medallion seared her skin. The air grew thick, unbreathable. The last thing she saw was the tall shadow stepping closer to her. And then, nothing. The world went dark. And that is the reading of Cherry Hill tonight. What a way to end the story tonight! So the question is, who's that tall shadow that she sees? The world has went dark. So glad to be back tonight. Truly enjoyed it so much. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So glad that you enjoyed it. Jackie, I wish that I was on vacation, but no, I had the flu. So much fun, right? So glad that you enjoyed it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Tigger. So glad to be back and to be back with my family. Thank you all so, so much. I appreciate you all so much. We're back on normal schedule. Thank you, Jess. Missed you too, Jackie. I missed everyone. I missed my darklings. I tell you, that's one of the sickest times that I've ever been. I was so sick that all I did was sleep. That is mainly all that I did was sleep. I had no appetite and would just sleep. That's how I knew that my body was sick. And that's how I knew that something was definitely wrong. So I have had endless hours of sleep, days of sleep. But we are definitely back. So glad you enjoyed it. So, so glad. I love you all. Truly. I have missed you all terribly. And I'm glad that you are enjoying Cherry Hill. Tomorrow night, we will be back at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern with another story time. For those of you who have been here and listened to my story, good. I want you to remember my stories burrow deep where they cannot flee. And in the darkest corridors of your nightmares, you belong to me.